It was past midnight when Jack Miller left the space engineering station. The rain was heavy and the road was quiet, too quiet. His hover bike moved slowly through the fog that hung low like smoke. Jack was tired after a long shift fixing satellite relays for the orbital network. He only wanted to go home, drink some coffee and sleep. But that night something waited for him on the lonely road. As he turned near the old bridge, his bike lights caught a figure standing in the rain. A woman, tall and still, wearing a silver cloak that shimmered like liquid metal. Jack hit the brakes hard. Water splashed around as the bike stopped. The woman stepped forward. Her face was pale, her hair black as night, but her eyes glowed faint blue. Not like contact lenses, but like real light coming from inside. Jack frowned. "Are you okay, miss? You shouldn't be out here in this weather." The woman didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached into her cloak and pulled out something round, wrapped in thin, glowing fabric. It looked like an egg, about the size of a football, and it was softly pulsing with light, like it was breathing. She walked closer and said, in a calm but strange voice, "Hold this egg until it hatches." Jack blinked. "Excuse me? What is that thing?" The woman didn't explain. Her eyes seemed sad, or maybe scared.
She pressed the egg into his hands.
It was warm, heavier than it looked, and there was a faint vibration inside, like a heartbeat. Jack tried to give it back. "Look, lady, I don't—" But when he looked up, she was gone. No sound, no footsteps, no light. Just rain and fog. She had disappeared completely. Jack's pulse raced. He looked around, called out, even checked under the bridge, and nothing. The only proof she existed was the glowing egg now sitting in his hands. He stared at it, feeling uneasy. The egg's surface shimmered with symbols, small lines that moved and changed like code. It almost felt alive. When he brought it close to his ear, he thought he heard a faint whisper. Not words, just a soft hum, almost like breathing. "Okay," Jack muttered. "This is officially weird." He wrapped it in his jacket and placed it in his bike's cargo compartment. The egg's glow dimmed slightly, as if it was sleeping. As he drove home, he couldn't stop thinking about the woman's voice. Hold this egg until it hatches. What did she mean? Was it some kind of experiment? A trap, a bioweapon? Jack had worked with alien technology before, but nothing like this. His mind ran wild with possibilities, each one stranger than the last. When he finally reached his small apartment near the spaceport, he placed the egg on the table. The rain tapped against the window and thunder rolled in the distance. Jack made himself coffee and stared at the egg. It pulsed faintly every few seconds, like it had a heartbeat that matched his own. He decided to scan it with his handheld analyzer. The screen flickered, then glitched. Error. Unknown material. Unknown life signature detected. Jack frowned. The scanner was top of the line, able to identify over 12,000 known biological and mechanical materials. But it couldn't read this. That made no sense. He tried to record data, but every time he pointed his scanner at it, the egg seemed to resist. It interfered with his tools like it was alive and protecting itself. Then something strange happened. When Jack reached out and touched the egg gently with his bare hand, the glow brightened, suddenly and strongly. The lines on its surface moved faster, forming a circle pattern, and his scanner turned back on by itself. A small line of text appeared on the screen. Bond initiated. Caregiver detected. Jack's heart skipped a beat. "What the hell does that mean?" he whispered. He backed away slowly, his eyes fixed on the glowing shell. The words disappeared from the screen and the egg's light dimmed again, calm and silent. He wanted to throw it out, leave it in the street, call security, do something. But a strange feeling stopped him. It wasn't fear. It was something else, a pull, like the egg wanted him to keep it safe. Jack sighed, rubbing his forehead. "This is crazy," he said softly. "I'm talking to an egg." He decided to keep it for the night. He placed it inside an old storage container near his bed and tried to sleep. But he couldn't. The whispers continued, soft, rhythmic sounds like lullabies from another world. At 3 a.m., a flash of blue light filled the room. Jack sat up fast. The egg's glow had returned, brighter than before, almost alive. He could see shadows moving inside the shell. Tiny shapes, something shifting, growing. And then, for the first time, the egg made a sound. A soft echoing heartbeat, and then a voice gentle and distant like from a dream. "Father," Jack froze. His coffee cup fell and shattered on the floor. He stared at the egg, terrified yet unable to look away. Outside, thunder roared, and from somewhere far in the dark sky, something answered back. Morning came, but Jack Miller hadn't slept a single minute. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the metal container that held the glowing egg. The light inside had faded after the voice, that strange, soft word that still echoed in his mind. Father. Every time he thought about it, chills ran down his spine. He told himself it was a dream. Maybe he'd imagined the voice. Maybe stress from work was finally messing with his head. But the egg, the thing, was still there, real and warm, like it was alive. Jack got up and poured another cup of cold coffee. His hands shook slightly. "Okay, Jack," he muttered. "You're not crazy. You're a trained engineer. You deal with weird stuff all the time. This is just another weird thing." But deep down, he knew this was different. He walked to his workbench and set the egg under a bright lamp. The smooth shell shimmered faintly, covered with glowing patterns that seemed to move whenever he stared too long, like they were watching him back. Jack picked up his voice recorder. "Day 1, he said quietly. "Unknown object received from unidentified woman last night. The egg appears to respond to physical contact and possibly emotional signals. Emits faint sound frequencies between 18 and 25 hertz, barely audible to human ears." He placed the recorder down and leaned closer. "Can you hear me?" he asked. For a few seconds there was nothing, just the hum of the lamp. Then the egg pulsed once. Jack froze. Did you just respond?" He reached out, his hand hovering an inch above the shell. The moment his skin touched it, his computer screen flickered on by itself. Static filled the room, and then letters appeared across the black screen, glowing in bright white text. "Caregiver detected. Bond confirmed." Jack stumbled backward, knocking over his chair. No. That's impossible," he whispered. He hadn't connected the egg to anything. No cables, no network. How was it controlling his systems? Then another message appeared. "Observation. Heart rate elevated. Subject anxious. Recommendation, calm yourself, father." Jack's mouth went dry. His own computer was talking to him, or maybe the egg was using it to communicate. He felt cold sweat on his neck. "Who are you?" he whispered. The screen blinked again. "We are one." Until the hatching. Before he could ask anything more, the monitor shut off completely. The egg stopped glowing like it had gone back to sleep. Jack stood still, breathing heavily, his mind spinning. Was he hallucinating? No. Everything he saw was real. The messages, the glow, the warmth. He grabbed his jacket and stepped outside. The rain had stopped, but the sky was gray, heavy with clouds. The air smelled of electricity. He walked to his bike, thinking maybe he should take the egg to the research center at the outpost. Let someone else deal with it. But when he unlocked the bike, something strange happened. The egg hummed inside his bag. The dashboard of his hoverbike flickered and displayed a single message across the interface. "Do not leave me." Jack froze again. The bike system was offline. He had pulled the power module last night, but the message still appeared. He zipped the bag open just a little. The egg's glow shimmered softly like it was worried. Jack sighed. "This is insane," he whispered. He shut the bag carefully and walked back inside. He didn't know why, but he couldn't bring himself to abandon it. That night, things got even stranger. Every electronic device in his house started acting up. Lights flickering, hologram clock glitching, even his old radio turning on by itself. And the voice, and faint but clear, echoed from the speakers, repeating one line in a calm, childlike tone. "Father, I listen." Jack sat frozen in his chair, his eyes wide. You can hear me?" he said softly. "Yes," the voice replied. "You are my caregiver. You are my signal." The voice wasn't human, but it wasn't robotic either. It was somewhere in between, pure, calm, innocent. Jack swallowed hard. "What are you? Where did you come from?" "Origins in Aura," the voice said. "Royal egg, protected by ancient law. You accepted the bond." He leaned forward, whispering, "I didn't accept anything. That woman forced it on me." Silence for a few seconds. Then the voice replied, softer now. "Choice was made when you did not reject. Bond is sealed. You are father. Jack ran his hands through his hair, feeling panic rise again. He turned off every device, unplugged everything, but the voice still came clear and soft, straight from the egg itself now. They are watching. Do not open the door, Jack froze. What do you mean, they? Before the egg could answer, a bright light flashed through the window. He jumped up and pulled the curtain. Outside, in the darkness above the field, a metallic drone hovered silently, small, sleek, and glowing with blue patterns that matched the egg. It scanned the house, then stopped, pointing directly at him. A deep mechanical voice came from its speaker. Target located. Human caregiver confirmed. Father status or approved. Jack's blood ran cold. The egg began to glow brighter, as if answering the drone. He stepped back, shielding his eyes. Approved for what? Jack shouted. What do you want from me? The drone's voice replied, emotionless and final. You are now responsible for the heir of Xynora. Prepare for visitation. And then, just as suddenly as it came, the drone shot up into the sky, vanishing into the clouds. Jack stood there shaking, the egg glowing bright against his chest. He realized one terrible truth. Whatever that woman had given him, it wasn't just an egg. It was a child, and every star in the sky now knew he was its father. The night after the drone appeared, Jack Miller didn't sleep at all. He sat on the couch, the egg in his lap, a half-finished cup of coffee beside him. Every light in the house was turned on, every door locked, every window sealed. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Outside, the wind was silent. Too silent. Not a single bird, not even the hum of city traffic. It felt like the world was holding its breath. The egg pulsed faintly in his hands, its glow dim and slow like a heartbeat at rest. Jack whispered, "Are you awake?" No answer, no hum. Just the quiet sound of his own nervous breathing. Then, thump. Something hit the roof. Hard. Jack froze. He looked up, heart pounding. Another sound, metal scraping, then silence. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped slowly toward the back door. When he looked outside, his breath caught. In the middle of his backyard stood two tall figures, shining silver under the moonlight. Their armor was smooth, almost liquid-like, and their eyes glowed with the same blue light as the egg. Jack's first thought, they're here for it. He clutched the egg tighter against his chest. One of the beings raised a hand slowly in a peaceful gesture. Its voice echoed through a small device on its chest, deep, mechanical, but strangely calm. Human Jack Miller, you have accepted the royal egg of Xynora. Jack's mouth went dry. I didn't accept anything. A woman gave it to me and disappeared. The taller alien stepped forward. That woman was a guardian. She chose you. The bond is sealed. Jack shook his head. Bond? What bond? I don't want it. Take this thing back before he stopped mid-sentence. The egg in his hands had started to glow again, brighter and warmer, almost like it was protecting itself. The patterns across its shell began to move quickly, and a faint hum filled the air. The shorter alien stepped closer, scanning the egg with a small device. Confirmed, it said. The heir has recognized the human as father. Jack took a step back. Wait, heir? What heir? The taller alien spoke again, its tone firm. The one inside carries the royal bloodline of Xynora. When it hatches, it will be the next ruler of our world. By taking the egg, you accepted the ancient bond of care. Now you are legally and spiritually bound as its guardian. Jack felt dizzy. You're telling me I'm the father of some alien prince? By law and by bond, the alien replied simply. The wind picked up suddenly, swirling around them. The egg's glow grew intense, filling the entire yard with light. The alien stepped back slightly. The hatching is close, said the taller one. You must prepare. Jack's voice trembled. I don't even know how to prepare. I'm just a human. I fix machines, not raise alien kings. The aliens didn't seem to care about his panic. Their voices were calm, detached as if reading from a sacred script. When the shell breaks, its life will be linked to yours. If you reject it, the bond will break violently. The consequences will affect both worlds. Jack stared at them. Consequences? Like what? The aliens didn't answer. Instead, the taller one placed a glowing disk on the ground. The disk projected a hologram, a planet covered in fire and smoke collapsing in on itself. This is what happens when the bond is broken. Jack's hands began to shake. He looked down at the egg. It was glowing brighter now, trembling softly as if reacting to his fear. You are chosen, Jack Miller, said the alien. Do not fail the heir. And just like that, they turned around. Their bodies shimmered like silver mist, and within seconds they vanished into thin air, leaving only a faint blue light in the air where they had stood. Jack stood frozen, the egg in his arms, heart pounding. The world outside was silent again, but this time it felt different. The silence wasn't empty. It was watching, he whispered. What have you dragged me into? The egg pulsed once, almost like it understood him. He carried it inside and placed it gently on the table. Its glow flickered faster and faster. The lines on its surface began to crack. No, Jack whispered. Not now, please not now. But the egg ignored him. The cracks widened, spreading across the shell like lightning veins. A faint light leaked out, bright blue and white. Jack stepped back, shielding his face. The hum grew louder, the air thick with energy. The egg shook violently, then split open with a sound like breaking glass. Inside was light. Pure, blinding light. And through that glow, Jack saw movement, something small, fragile, but alive. When the light faded, he saw it, a tiny creature, curled up, breathing softly. Its skin shimmered like moonlight, and its eyes, when they opened, looked exactly like the woman's from that night. The creature blinked once, then reached out a small, glowing hand toward Jack, and in a soft, echoing voice, it said a single word, "Father." Jack fell to his knees, speechless. He didn't know whether to run, to cry, or to hold the strange being that had just changed his life forever. Outside, in the dark sky, 3 blue stars flickered, aligning for the first time in centuries, and far above, in the void of space, something ancient had just awakened. For a long moment, Jack Miller couldn't move. He just stood there, staring at the tiny glowing creature lying in the broken shell of the egg. The room smelled faintly like ozone, clean electric air like after a lightning storm. The glow around the creature pulsed softly, matching the rhythm of a heartbeat. It was small, about the size of a human baby, but its skin was pale silver, almost see-through. Its eyes, big and bright, shimmered like liquid blue. When it blinked, faint streaks of light danced across its skin, fading slowly like ripples in water. And then, in a soft, trembling voice, it repeated, "Father." Jack's heart stopped. He knelt beside it, unsure whether to touch it or run away. The creature reached out a tiny hand, made only 4 fingers, each tipped with a faint blue glow, and gently grabbed his finger. Its skin felt warm, smooth, and alive. The moment they touched, something strange happened. Jack felt a wave of warmth surge through his chest. For a split second, he saw flashes, images in his mind, a planet of shining towers, a sky filled with silver ships, and a throne made of crystal. Then it was gone. He gasped and fell back, breathing heavily. The creature tilted its head, studying him curiously. "Do not be afraid," it said softly, its voice like a small echo inside his head rather than from its mouth. Jack blinked. "You can talk?" "Not talk," it replied. "Link." Its words weren't just sounds, they were felt directly in his mind, gentle and calm, like a child's whisper in a dream. Jack sat against the wall, trying to calm himself. "What are you?" The child blinked again. "Heir of Zenora." "You are my bond. You are my father." Jack laughed nervously. "That can't be real. I'm not anyone's father, especially not an alien one." But even as he said it, the small creature crawled closer and pressed its tiny hand against his chest. The glow around it spread slightly, wrapping him in faint blue light. His smartwatch beeped, heart rate stabilized, temperature normal, as if his body was syncing with the creature's energy. Then the creature looked around the room. Its gaze landed on the broken shell of the egg. It reached out, touched the shards, and the fragments floated up into the air, slowly spinning before dissolving into glowing dust. The dust settled gently on the floor, disappearing like mist. Jack watched, speechless. "Okay," he muttered. "Telekinesis, great. What's next, space magic?" The creature turned back to him and smiled, a small, innocent smile that somehow melted his fear. "You will protect me, Father. Others will come." "Others?" Jack asked quickly. "Who are they?" "Those soldiers from last night?" But before he could get an answer, every light in the house flickered again. The computer turned on by itself. On the screen, lines of alien symbols appeared, rapidly changing, then forming words in English. "Unauthorized tracking detected. Defensive field activating." Jack grabbed the creature and backed away. Defensive field? What defensive field? A loud hum filled the air. The walls shimmered faintly, like an invisible barrier had just wrapped around the house. Outside, something exploded. A bright flash of blue fire lit up the night sky. Jack ran to the window. A small black ship was hovering above the neighborhood, scanning the area with a red beam. It wasn't one of the silver aliens from before. This one looked different. Sharp edges, red lights, and a symbol like a claw painted on its hull. The creature whispered, "Kraith." Jack turned. "What did you say?" "They are hunters. They want me. They want control." The ship fired a beam at the house, but it hit the glowing barrier instead. Sparks flew across the sky. The house shook violently, but the shield held. Jack crouched, holding the creature close. "What do they want from you?" "Power," the child said softly. "I am key to the old machines. The Kraith want to rule all systems. I must live or many worlds will die." Jack took a deep breath. His mind raced. He wasn't a soldier, just an engineer. But something in him shifted. The fear that had gripped him for days slowly turned into determination. He looked down at the small being in his arms. Fragile, glowing, trusting. "All right," he whispered. "If they want you, they'll have to go through me first." The creature blinked, surprised. Then it smiled again. A soft, knowing smile. "You are human," it said. "You fight for love. That is why she chose you." Jack frowned. "She? The woman who gave me the egg?" "Yes, guardian of the line, she knew your heart." Before Jack could ask more, another explosion shook the ground. The ship was firing again, and this time cracks appeared in the glowing shield. Jack ran to his workbench, pulling out old defense drones he'd built years ago. He reconnected their cores, bypassed safety codes, and powered them up. "Come on," he muttered. "If I can fix satellites, I can fix these." The drones lifted, their rotors glowing red. They flew toward the window, forming a defensive line outside. Jack looked at the small creature. "Stay close. No matter what happens, don't let go." The child nodded. "Father protects, I believe." The drones fired, striking the alien ship's sensors. The Kraith ship staggered in midair, losing stability. Then, with a burst of blue light, it retreated, vanishing into the clouds. The sky went quiet again. The barrier flickered, then disappeared. Jack stood among the broken glass and smoke, holding the child in his arms. His heart was pounding, but his voice was steady. He whispered, "Looks like I'm officially a dad to the most dangerous baby in the galaxy." The child smiled softly and rested its head against his shoulder. Outside, thunder rumbled, but this time, Jack didn't feel fear. He knew this was only the beginning. Because somewhere up there, the war for the air of Zenora had just begun. The next morning came with smoke in the sky. The explosion had scared half the neighborhood, and emergency drones were circling above the ruins of Jack's home. But by the time they arrived, Jack Miller and the glowing child were already gone. Jack drove his old hover truck down the empty highway, wind slicing through the cracked windshield. The child sat quietly in the passenger seat, covered in a brown blanket. Its glow had dimmed to a soft blue, calm, almost sleepy. For hours, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the truck and the distant crackle of a broken radio. Jack's eyes were tired, his hands tight on the steering wheel. He finally broke the silence. "You said they're called the Kraith, right? Who are they?" The child turned its glowing eyes toward him. "They were once protectors. Now they hunt. They serve no world, only power." Jack frowned. "And they want you because of what you can do?" "Yes," it said softly. "My kind can speak to the ancient machines, the ones that sleep under stars. The Kraith want that power to rule all systems." Jack sighed. "Great. So I'm hiding from space warlords with a talking baby that glows. Just my kind of weak." The child tilted its head, confused. "You joke when afraid." Jack gave a small laugh. "You're not wrong." He turned the truck into a long abandoned tunnel, an old mining route beneath the mountains. It was dark, quiet, and safe, at least for now. He stopped the engine and looked at the child again. "What's your name?" The child blinked slowly. "Name?" "Yeah," Jack said. "You must have one. Something I can call you." The child hesitated, then closed its eyes. The air shimmered faintly and a voice whispered in his mind, "Aaron." Jack nodded. "Aaron. All right, kid. Welcome to Earth." Aaron smiled faintly. "Earth is warm and loud." Jack chuckled. That's one way to describe it. But before he could relax, the scanner on his wrist beeped. Red light. Movement detected, fast and close. Jack cursed under his breath. They found us. Outside the tunnel, shadows moved. 3 black hoverbikes appeared, their engines growling like beasts. Kraith hunters, tall, armored, and silent. Their visors glowed red, scanning the darkness. Jack grabbed Aaron's hand. "Stay behind me." "They want me alive," Aaron whispered. "They will not stop." Jack crouched behind a pile of rocks, his mind racing. He had 2 defense drones left, and both were low on charge. Still, it was better than nothing. He activated them. The drones lifted into the air, projecting a weak blue shield in front of them. The hunters entered the tunnel, their footsteps echoing. "Human," one of them said in a deep mechanical voice. "Surrender the air." "You have no claim," Jack shouted back. "I didn't ask for any of this. Law of Zenora doesn't matter. The Kraith take what they want." Jack's jaw tightened. Not this time. He pressed the trigger on his wrist controller. The drones fired bright plasma bursts that hit the tunnel walls, lighting up the darkness. 2 of the hunters dodged, but the third got hit, armor cracking with a hiss. The others retaliated immediately, firing red bolts that shattered Jack's shield. The drones spun and crashed into the ground, sparks flying. Jack ducked behind a rock, covering Aaron. "Any chance you can, I don't know, do your alien magic thing again?" Aaron looked scared but closed its eyes. Its small hands glowed, brighter and brighter. The air started to hum, the same strange vibration Jack had felt when the egg hatched. "Father," Aaron whispered, "hold me tight." Jack wrapped his arms around the glowing child. A bright wave of blue energy exploded outward, blasting through the tunnel like a shock wave. The hunters were thrown back against the walls. Their armor sparked, their weapons melted, and the ground cracked beneath them. When the light faded, smoke filled the air. Jack coughed, blinking through the haze. The hunters were gone, vaporized or retreated. Aaron collapsed, exhausted, the glow around them fading to a dim pulse. Jack held them close. Hey, stay with me. You did good, kid. Real good." "I am tired," Aaron murmured. "My core weak. We must hide. Before more come." Jack nodded, his heart pounding. "Yeah. We'll find somewhere safe, I promise." He carried Aaron back to the truck and started the engine again. As the vehicle roared to life, the child leaned against his shoulder, half asleep. For a brief moment, Jack glanced at the small, peaceful face beside him and felt something strange. A father's protectiveness. Not fear anymore, but purpose. He whispered, "I don't know how I got into this, but I'm not letting anyone take you." Outside, the night sky flashed again, multiple red lights descending through the clouds. Dozens of Kraith ships. They were scanning the Earth's surface now, searching for the air. Jack pressed harder on the controls, speeding through the dark valley. "Looks like we're out of time, Aaron," he muttered. The child stirred, whispering softly, "They will not stop, Father. The war has begun." Jack's eyes hardened as he drove into the stormy horizon. Then let them come. Lightning flashed above them, and for a brief second Jack saw 3 silver figures descending from the sky, the same kind of aliens who had first declared him father. They were returning, but this time they weren't coming for peace. The storm raged across the mountains as Jack Miller's hover truck raced through the night. Flashes of lightning lit the sky, revealing dark shapes above the clouds, Kraith warships, dozens of them, spreading like shadows across the heavens. Each one scanned the ground with red beams, searching for the child who had become the center of a galactic war. Inside the truck, Aaron lay weak and pale. The glow that once pulsed brightly through their skin had faded to a faint shimmer. Jack tightened his grip on the controls, his jaw set. "Hang on, kid," he said. "I'll keep you safe, I promise." "They are many," Aaron whispered weakly. "Too many." Jack glanced down at the child, their eyes dim and heavy. "Then we'll have to be smarter than them." He drove into the ruins of an old industrial zone, one of the first colonies built when humans started mining the planet's outer belts. Now it was just metal skeletons, broken towers, and silence. He parked the truck inside a half-collapsed hangar, hidden beneath steel beams. Jack set Aaron gently on a table. The child looked small, fragile even, but when Jack touched their hand, a faint warmth returned. "You are afraid," Aaron said softly. Jack shook his head. "I'm not afraid for me. I'm afraid for you. For us. You fight for family. That makes you strong." Jack gave a tired smile. "Yeah, well, we'll see how far that gets us against alien warships." He walked over to an old power console in the corner. The circuits were dead, but Jack's engineering instincts kicked in. He reconnected old generators, patched together spare parts from drones, and rerouted power through salvaged coils. The lights flickered weakly, but it was enough. He activated his handheld device. A small screen popped up showing the Kraith fleet's movements above the planet. They were surrounding the area fast. Jack muttered, "They're closing in. If I can just boost a signal." But before he could finish, a familiar hum filled the air. The blue energy returned, faint at first, then stronger. Aaron was sitting up, their eyes glowing again. "They are near," Aaron whispered. "But so are the Zenora." Jack froze. "You mean your people? The silver ones?" "Yes. They come for me, and for you." Outside, a blinding beam of blue light cut through the clouds. A massive ship descended, smooth, shining silver, larger than any human vessel Jack had ever seen. The ground shook as it hovered above the ruins. Then a voice echoed through the air, calm, powerful, and commanding. "Human, bring the air. The war begins now." Jack ran outside, shielding his eyes. 3 figures descended from the light. Zenora warriors, tall and elegant, with armor that shimmered like liquid glass. The leader stepped forward, his face half hidden by a glowing mask. "Jack Miller," he said, "you have protected the air. The bond remains unbroken." Jack crossed his arms. "You could have warned me that your enemies would try to kill me." "We did not expect the Kraith to move so soon," the alien replied. "But your courage has proven true. You are now part of our defense," Jack frowned. "Defense? I'm not a soldier." "You are a father," the alien said simply. "And that is greater." Before Jack could reply, the sky tore open, a red fire and black metal descending like a storm. The Kraith fleet had arrived. Missiles streaked through the clouds, explosions shaking the ground. The Zenora soldiers raised their arms. Shimmering barriers formed around the ruins, deflecting the first wave of attacks. But the enemy was relentless. Jack ran back to the hangar, pulling Aaron close. "We have to move." "No," Aaron said, voice stronger now. "It is time." "Time for what?" "To awaken what sleeps." Aaron placed their glowing hands on the ground. The entire hangar vibrated. Metal groaned, machines sparked, and from beneath the floor, something enormous began to rise. A titanic machine, buried under the earth for decades, came alive. Its core glowed blue, the same color as Aaron's eyes. It looked like an ancient war mech, old, human-made, but now awakened by alien energy. Jack stared, stunned. That's impossible." "No," Aaron said softly. "It is family." The mech's systems synced instantly with Jack's old tools. His scanner beeped. The machine was connecting to his neural data, reading his thoughts. "Wait," Jack said, realization dawning. "It's linked to me?" "You are father," Aaron said. "My bond is your bond." The mech's eyes glowed, and its massive hand moved, copying Jack's gestures perfectly. Jack climbed into the cockpit, wires connecting around him like a second skin. Outside, the Kraith troops landed, firing plasma bolts toward them. Jack's mech lifted its arm and unleashed a pulse wave that shattered the ground. The enemies scattered. "Let's see what this thing can do," Jack muttered. He moved his hand, the mech followed, launching energy blasts that tore through the enemy line. Explosions lit up the ruins as red and blue lights clashed across the sky. From inside the cockpit, Aaron stood behind Jack, glowing brighter than ever. Their voice echoed in his mind. "Together, Father." "Always together." Jack smiled, sweat dripping down his face. "Yeah, kid. Let's end this." The Kraith fleet began to fall back, ships burning as they retreated through the clouds. The ground rumbled beneath the mech's feet. But the battle was theirs. When the last shot faded, silence returned, the kind of silence that comes after chaos. Jack stepped out of the cockpit, holding Aaron in his arms. Above them, the Zenora leader descended again. "You have fought with honor. The air is safe, for now." Jack looked up, his voice steady. "I don't care about your laws. I just want the kids safe." The leader nodded. "Then you are truly father, not by law but by heart." But before Jack could reply, the sky cracked open one last time, and through the rift stepped the woman in the silver cloak. Her voice echoed softly. "Jack, it's time to leave this world." Jack's breath caught. You started all of this," she smiled faintly. "And now you must finish it." The light around her brightened, swallowing the ruins, the sky, and everything Jack knew. The war on Earth was over. But something far greater had just begun. When the blinding light faded, Jack Miller found himself standing in a place that didn't look like Earth anymore. The sky above him was silver, the air calm and warm. Floating islands glowed faintly in the distance, and crystal towers rose from the ground like frozen lightning. It was peaceful, impossibly beautiful, and silent except for the low hum of unseen machines beneath the surface. Beside him stood Aaron, glowing brighter than ever. The child's eyes reflected the new world around them, filled with wonder and light. In front of them, the woman in the silver cloak waited, the same mysterious figure who had first given him the egg. Jack's voice was rough. "Where are we?" "Welcome to Zenora," she said softly. "The true home of the air, and now, you're home too." Jack took a deep breath, looking around. The world felt alive, as if it was breathing with them. "It's incredible," he whispered. Then his expression hardened. "Why me? Out of all the people on Earth, why give me that egg?" The woman smiled gently. "Because you cared. You didn't throw it away. You protected it when you could have walked away. In all the stars we searched, you were the one who chose compassion over fear." Jack laughed bitterly. "So that's it? I just happened to be nice and now I'm some kind of alien dad?" "Not by chance," she replied. "By heart. The bond recognized what you are. Someone who values life even when he doesn't understand it." Aaron walked closer and took Jack's hand. Their small fingers glowed against his skin. "You are father," Aaron said. "You make me human." Jack looked down at the child. The strange, powerful being who could destroy armies but still held his hand like a human child would. His voice softened. "Maybe you make me something better too." Above them, the sky shifted. The stars of Zenora moved, aligning in a slow, perfect circle. The woman turned to Aaron. "The throne awaits you, little one. Your people need you." Aaron looked up at her, then at Jack. "If I take the throne, must I leave, father?" The woman's eyes glowed faintly, sadness in her expression. "Every heir must walk their own path. But the bond between you cannot be broken. Even across galaxies, it will remain." Jack felt his heart sink. "You're saying goodbye," he said quietly. Aaron nodded slowly. "You taught me what love is. That makes me strong." Jack knelt in front of them. "You don't need to thank me. Just live, okay? Make this world better than ours." For a moment, neither spoke. The wind around them carried faint whispers like songs of ancient spirits. Then, without warning, the ground beneath them shimmered. A vast platform of light rose, carrying Aaron upward toward a great crystalline palace in the sky. Zenora soldiers knelt as the child passed above them, their future ruler glowing like a newborn star. Jack stood silently, his chest tight. The woman placed a hand on his shoulder. "You gave the galaxy something we could not, humanity." He turned to her. "So what happens to me now?" "That depends," she said. "You can stay and serve as guardian to the air, or you can return to Earth, to live the life you left behind." Jack looked at the horizon. Somewhere beyond those silver clouds, his home waited. quiet, broken, but familiar. Yet a part of him knew he didn't belong there anymore. He looked at the sky where Aaron was ascending. "Home isn't a place," he said softly. "It's someone," the woman smiled. "Then your path is clear." A doorway of light opened beside them. Through it, Jack could see stars, endless and bright. But instead of stepping through, he turned back toward the Zyneran palace. "I made a promise," he said. "I protect Aaron. That doesn't stop now." The woman nodded proudly. "Then walk with us, Jack Miller, father of two worlds." 3 years later, Zenora had changed. The war was over. The Kraith were defeated, their fleets scattered into the void. And at the heart of the great city, Aaron ruled, no longer a child, but a young leader whose words could calm storms and whose touch could heal wounds. Jack stood at their side, dressed not in armor but in a simple engineer's uniform, tools hanging from his belt. He had helped rebuild Zenora's systems, merging human logic with alien energy, a bridge between two species. Aaron turned to him one morning and said, "Father, the stars whisper again. They say a new life grows on your world." Jack looked at the child, no, the ruler, and smiled. "Then maybe it's time we pay Earth a visit." Aaron grinned, eyes full of light. "Will they be ready for us?" Jack laughed softly. "No, but that's never stopped us before." As their ship rose from the palace and broke through Zenora's shining clouds, Jack glanced one last time at the twin suns. He whispered to himself, "I came here with an egg and found a universe." The stars reflected in his eyes as the ship vanished into the dark, carrying with it a human, an heir and a story that would be told across galaxies for generations. Because sometimes, being human is the most powerful thing in the universe.